the election by mail
Vote by mail.
and voter registration. I hadn't planned on that, but I can't.
Or she can talk.
All right, I'll let you do it.
Okay,
We're on
I think
it.
she's
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the March 23rd meeting of the Stowe Board of Selectmen. With me here tonight, I have Courtney Fresha and Megan Birch-McMichael, and Jim Salvi and Ellen Sturgis are remote this evening. We also have Denise Demkowski, and I believe Joyce Sampson's on also.
Yes.
First up, as usual, is public input, and I will recognize our town clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to let people know that upcoming election information, voter registration can be done online through the Secretary of State's web portal. The deadline to vote for the election for the May 8th election is April 16th.
To register.
And to register to vote. And to register to vote for the town meeting will be April 30th. It's because the election and town meeting are being done separately. We have two separate voter registrations. Vote by mail is coming up. We're going to be sending out through the Action Unlimited a flyer about that information, and also there will be applications within there inside the Action Unlimited. It'll go out on April 9th. Ballots won't even be in our hands until the following week, and then we'll be sending those out to everybody. But if the applications are available online right now, we've already received about a dozen, so get them in. It's very much like last year. Those things. Don't forget to license your dogs and return your census forms. Thank you.
Do we have any other public input? If so, please raise your virtual hand or wave to me. Seeing none, I will move on to Chairman's comments. This Saturday at the Stowe Lower Village, at the Lower Village Commons at the Stowe Plaza, there will be a Stuff the Cruiser food drive to support wheat. Bolton, Stowe, and Lancaster police departments, along with the Rotary Club of Neshoba Valley, are sponsoring this, and please bring your food down to the Lower Village between 11 and 2 p.m. this Saturday, the 27th. Applications. Tonight, the Planning Board's having a public forum at 8 p.m. on Zoom relating to active adult neighborhoods. As the board members would like to see and participate in this public forum, I'm planning on trying to move the agenda items along as quickly as possible tonight in an attempt to be done as close to 8 p.m. as possible. At the same time, I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to say what they need to say. But with this goal in mind, I would ask everybody to help me as much as they can. First up, we have appointments, and the first appointment we're going to be doing tonight, slightly out of order, is Andrea Wikerd to the Neshoba Regional School District Audit Advisory Committee for an appointment through June 30th, 2022. This is going to be a joint appointment between the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. And Erica, are you on by any chance, along with your members?
Yep, we have a quorum of members ready to vote.
All right. What this is for is, as I said, for the Audit Advisory Committee for the Neshoba Regional School District. We have Andrea Wikerd, who has volunteered to do this. It appears she's got quite a bit of experience. And I'll leave it at that. Is Andrea, are you on by any chance?
Yes, she is.
I am.
Well, thank you very much for stepping forward, and we appreciate your being willing to do this. Do we have any comments or questions from the board here?
It's Andrea, right?
It is Andrea.
Okay, just
Andrea
wanted to
Wikerd.
double check. Okay.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Questions, comments from the board? Any questions, comments from the finance committee?
Ellen has some.
Ellen
Ellen?
has a question.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Andrea, because I'm really, as a former school committee member, I'm really grateful to have someone with your expertise and knowledge joining the audit committee. I think it's extremely important, especially right now with the transition and leadership. So thank you for stepping up.
Thank you. Happy to be a part of it.
Erica, anything from you or your members?
No, I've already had the benefit of being able to talk to Andrea and being very sad that she's unable to join the finance committee. But unfortunately, her job prohibits her, so I will.
Sorry. I'm trying to make the speakers louder.
There.
We can keep talking. I
Okay.
just was trying to make it a little louder for you
Do you want
guys.
me to make a motion?
Yes, I'd be happy to take a motion.
All right. In conjunction with the Finance Committee, I move to appoint Andrea Wikerd to the NRSD Audit Advisory Committee for a term expiring June 30th, 2022.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
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 Ellen votes aye, and is Jim on there by any chance?
Two votes aye.
You voted aye? All right.
Yes.
And then the
And-
members.
And then Andrea, members of your committee?
No,
Erica.
Erica.
I'm sorry, Erica.
So do you need us to make a separate motion, or can we just hop on yours?
I would say you can just hop on ours.
Okay, I'm an aye. Brian
Aye.
and Chris.
Aye.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad I was able to move you up there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Allison Altair for an appointment to the Cultural Council through March 22nd, 2024. Allison, would you like to say a couple words? You're on.
I'm not sure what group of people I tended to see in the era of people. If you want to know.
Well, it's always nice to see people step forward and try to give people a little chance to say a little something about themselves.
Okay.
And I know we appreciate your stepping forward.
Sure, I would say, education is my thing, but most of my work these days is in corrections, so I design rehabilitative programming for the Department of Corrections, and I teach creative writing in a few facilities, hoping to get into literacy in another facility, and I've done some reentry programming lately, and background working with at-risk kids and running therapeutic school, and that's probably that summary of mine. Do various volunteering and campaign stuff, and yeah.
Well, thank you for stepping forward. Do we have any questions, comments from the board?
Nope. Nope. Sorry.
Ellen?
No, sorry, somebody else can tell first.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say thank you, Allison, for stepping up. I'm excited to have you on the committee, on the Cultural Council, so that's great. And now Ellen.
Now Ellen.
I just want to add that you bring such an interesting, different perspective to the Cultural Council in
Yes.
terms of your work in correction facilities. I think it's incredible work, it's really important work, and it'll be really cool to see how you can bring that into things that we can do here and stuff.
Yep.
And I was gonna say, I wanna be on the cultural council, because it sounds really
Seriously.
interesting.
Is there a liaison person?
All right.
Luckily, you're full up now.
Yes, but we can keep adding, I think.
Yeah.
In that case, Denise has recommended Allison for the position, so I'm happy to accept the motion.
Great. I move to appoint Allison Alter to the Stowe Cultural Council for a 3-year term expiring March 22nd, 2024.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ellen's aye, and did I hear aye from Jim?
Yep,
Did.
he was a thumbs up.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Allison.
Thank you again.
Can I ask a favor, Mr. Chairman? Could you make Michael Naill's appointment next? He has a parent-teacher conference in a few minutes, so I'd like to get him on and off.
Okay. So the next up, we have a candidate for the Zoning Board of Appeals as an associate member, Michael Naill. Michael, are you on by any chance?
I am. It's Naill.
Naill, I'm
Good,
sorry.
Good.
It looks too simple, I think, for folks, though.
If you want to just give us a minute or so of your background?
Sure. So I
Say?
grew up in a rural section of Illinois, and I've been living in Massachusetts for the last 15, 20 years, and the last 5 years in Stowe. I live here with my wife and our 2 sons. We really enjoy the town. Really enjoy living in Stowe, and I've been looking for an opportunity to get back and help kind of serve the community as well as the other residents of Stowe. And after talking to some folks, I think this is a good opportunity for me to help out. And so I'm looking forward to contributing to the community and learning more about the town of Stowe at the same time.
I much appreciate you stepping forward.
Great.
Do we have any comments or questions from the board?
Just thank you.
In that case, I'll be happy to take a motion.
Awesome. I move to appoint Michael Naill to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the remainder of a 5-year term expiring June 30th, 2024.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
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 Jim's aye, and I saw Ellen's hand up. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Liza Mattison for an appointment to the Conservation Commission. And Liza, are you on by any chance?
Yes, I am on.
Hello, Liza. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Would you like to give us just a little bit of your background?
Sure. I'm applying for the Conservation Commission just because it seems to fit my interest, and I'm looking forward to getting involved in the town of Stowe. I've lived here for about, I think, over 15 years now, and I come with a background in geology and sort of environmental work, and also I have an MFA in writing, so I kind of balance the science and a creative brain, I guess. But I'm looking forward to sort of getting back into the dealing with wetlands and regulations and just conservation and that angle.
Well, it's much appreciated you stepping forward. It's always nice to have different perspectives.
I'm sorry, no.
Go ahead. I'm not supposed to speak.
Oh. I wanted to say thank you. I too have an MFA in writing, and so I think it's fantastic that you also have another outlet. And as I have to do the motions, is it Liza or Liza?
It's Liza.
Liza, okay, perfect. Good.
And Liza, I was on the Concom with your mom for a little while, and it's nice to have a generational follow-up. Although I thank you for yourself for stepping up.
Yes, no, I'm
sure you'll be a
look
great-
forward to continuing the dynasty.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Do we have any other comments or questions from the board? In that case, I will take a motion.
All right, I move to appoint Liza Mattison to the Conservation Commission for the remainder of a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2022.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ellen and Jim vote aye. Thank you again, Liza.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
And let's see. Next, we have an appointment for Charlie Aaronson to the Council on Aging for an indefinite term. Charlie, are you on by any chance?
I'm here.
Hello, Charlie. I saw you earlier, I think. Thank you for stepping forward. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a recent immigrant to Stowe. I've only been here a short while, maybe 6 months, but I've got a lot of experience being a senior. I was on another council on aging, and I'm really interested in advocating for seniors and the things they need, and it's particularly a hard time for them right now. So I'm anxious to get involved, and I'm anxious to get involved in the town of Stowe.
Very good. Thank you for stepping
Excellent.
forward. It's much appreciated. Do we have any questions or comments from other members of the board?
Tom, can I just say, Charlie, you seem like you'll be perfect. Thanks very much for stepping forward.
Thank you.
And Charlie, by the way, I like the suspenders. I tend to wear them myself.
Old guy stuff.
Okay, Tom.
Mine are bright red though.
I just want to add, I mean, and I don't know if Allison wants to say something, she's on the call as well, but it's just delightful to have someone excited about being on the COA. It's an amazing board. They do an awful lot for a small team, so glad to have you aboard, Charlie.
Thank you.
Allison, did you want to say something or?
Just wanted to let you know I was in support of the decision. I'm very excited to have Charlie on our board. He's going to be a great asset to the town and help us through the year. So I'm looking forward to working with him. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, I will accept a motion.
All right, I move to appoint Charlie Aaronson to the Council on Aging for an indefinite term.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ellen was aye, and Jim?
He's on mute, but I think he said aye.
He
thumbs
said
up.
Okay. Saw the thumbs up, so
I was
Jim's an
trying
aye.
to read his
It's
lips.
unanimous. And the last of our appointments is Wes Fisher, a Democrat, to the Board of Registrar of Voters through June 30th, 2023. Wes, are you on by any chance?
I don't think so.
All right, in that case, I've known Wes for a long time. He's a great guy. And I think Linda's been looking for somebody else to join the Registrar of Voters for a while.
Yes, we have. We've had a vacancy for a couple of years now, I think. Anyway, we're excited to have Wes on here. It had to be a registered Democrat or a registered Republican, and Wes volunteered. And,
So Wes, when you're watching this later on, thank you for stepping forward.
exactly. Exactly. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Did you just raise your hand, Ellen, or am I seeing things? No, okay. In that case, I'll take a motion.
All right, I move to appoint Weston Wes Fisher, Democrat, to the Board of Registrar of Voters for the remainder of a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2023.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ellen and Jim are aye. All right.
And Tom, can I just remind everybody that they'll be getting a letter from the Selectmen's office saying they were appointed, and once they have that letter, then I will be notified and I can swear everybody in.
Yeah, I let them know that when I spoke to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you didn't hear that, and everybody who is just appointed, if you can contact the town clerk.
No,
Or-
they will get a letter
I'm
with
sorry,
instructions.
don't get a letter. You'll get a letter, and then you'll have to contact the town clerk and get sworn in.
We'll take care of that.
All right. Next, for vote and discussion, this was something that was added at the last minute, but a vote to support a statement regarding the Asian American violence. So,
I can speak to that. Do you want me to speak to that, or do you want to, Ellen? You want me to? Okay. I wanted to say that I really appreciated much like after the Capitol riots, that a statement was put out from our police chief and from the town administrator decrying the recent uptick in violence against our Asian American and Pacific Islander community. And I appreciated that they put that out, and I also think that we are stuck with some open meeting laws that don't allow us to have those conversations outside of the open meeting. So I wanted to ask the board whether or not they would be amenable to putting out a statement from this board, also decrying the recent uptick in Asian American, the violence towards Asian Americans. So that is what that agenda item is. And Ella, did you?
Yeah, I would just add, I mean, I support what Megan just said. Basically, when I saw the statement, and it did say town leaders, and I just would like the select board to add themselves to that statement. I don't think we need to write a different one, but
Right.
I think it's important, not only, we do have Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in our town, and I think they deserve to be recognized and supported. I think it's a really scary time for a lot of them, and I do feel like it's worth, making that statement on top of it as the leadership of town.
Yeah.
Courtney, comments?
I am amenable.
Jim, comments?
Certainly agree with the sentiment and agree that we can just
Add our
pin
names.
those to the statement that was already issued.
Excellent.
I'm amenable also, so.
Great.
Um,
Can I make do you want me to just make a motion on that then?
Just make a motion.
Sure.
and-
I move that the statement that was issued last week by the town administrator and the chief of police is amended to include the select board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Thanks, everyone. You are quite welcome.
And thank you Denise and Chief Solisi for putting that out. Next up, we have a donation of gym equipment from now Acting Sergeant Dave Gogan. We have a letter from the chief saying that it will be helpful to him, and it appears that Acting Sergeant Gogan is donating approximately $6,000 worth of gym equipment to be used at the police department. I don't know if Acting Sergeant Gogan is on.
No,
No?
I told them they didn't really need to be here. I could answer any questions then.
And do you have any comments on that?
No, it's pretty much as identified in the letter. The equipment that was in the police station was old, outdated, and hazardous, so they removed that, so they have not had any gym equipment. As Dave mentioned, or it's in the letter, I believe, Dave is moving, doesn't want to take the equipment that he has with him, so we wanted to donate it to the town and the police station. So you need to accept any donations into the town.
And, all right.
Oh, that's a happy coincidence.
I know.
Mike can then get his exercise at work too.
Right.
Um,
How are they getting it there? That's,
I don't know,
Okay.
I can certainly talk to him, but either way, they'd have to, they would have to move it, so whether he's moving.
may as well just move it
it's
to the
moving
police
it.
station. Okay.
Let's see.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
can we just note for the record that this is some serious gym equipment to have in your house?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. Hopefully he'll be using it, continue to use it there and keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If there are any other comments or questions about this?
Do I have to make a motion to accept it? Oh,
Please.
I move to accept a donation of gym equipment from Dave Gogan to go, oh, it's on the back, sorry.
I was trying to save paper.
Sorry.
Keep it up, that's great.
Let me start again. Okay. I move to accept the gym equipment for the police department donated by David Gogan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Ellen voted aye also, so we're unanimous. Next, we are going to have a discussion of polling hours for the May 8th annual election. And to start this out, I will turn this over to our town clerk, Linda Hathaway.
I'm proposing that this year that we continue what we started last year with our election. Last year, we had a Saturday election on June 27th, and the polling hours were 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We did a very strong vote by mail. I think the number we had out of the total of the 1,500 that came, there was only 150 people that came in person, and the rest was vote by mail. Of course, we were really in the beginning of that pandemic in June. And so, but I think there was such a high success rate in November because we did 3,600 vote by mail ballots, and we were able to get all of those ballots processed within 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think the turnout this year, my prediction is the turnout will probably be closer to the 1,800 turnout. Could go as high as 2,000 because we have a number of new candidates that bring another realm of people into the election. And so we have 3 contested races right at the moment. The Selectmen's race has 3 candidates for 2 slots. The Planning Board has 2 candidates for 1 slot, and the School Committee has 2 candidates for 1 slot. And so I really do think that, the turnout will be good. I still expect a high turnout to vote by mail because not everybody's going to have their vaccination. But I think the 10 to 4 will still allow us to get everybody in that wants to. It's a Saturday. We spread out. I think all of you have been to the election, and we really can move people through pretty quickly. I get more people on board, and if we have the volume of vote by mail, I just have more people opening and processing and getting them through, and we have 4 tabulators.
Yep.
So I don't think this will be an issue. I know last year when this was discussed, there was some concern because we changed from a 7 a.m. to, polling hours are typically on a state election 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and we followed that with the town elections. Because I always thought it was important to be on Tuesdays and to be consistent so people would remember. But turnout has not always been good at a town election. I mean, it's been low, and now we're on Saturdays, and the vote by mail for at will at any reason, it allows people to, to vote early. We will not, I'm not proposing in-person early voting like they do.
Okay.
I'm not proposing that because the vote by mail should take care of that. And ballots will go out, but people can drop them off. We have a drop box. So you don't have to worry about the mail, and I think there'll be a good turnaround time. So I'm willing to take any of your questions, any of your concerns. We can modify things if you need to.
And if I'm correct, the early voting was really no different than the mail-in voting in that somebody came in, filled out the ballot, and then just left it for you, and it was still not opened until that.
Correct. Right. Nothing is open until Election Day.
So essentially, the early voting was no different than mail-in voting, other than somebody had to go in to physically do it in front of you. So.
Right. I mean, there's still, and it's different from absentee voting because you don't need a reason and you can just come and do it. And
that's great.
And like I said, we're going to do a townwide mailing and people will hear about it. And I think our candidates, with their social media skills and strengths of getting the information out there will do a great job. We've got a lot of good candidates.
And if people want to volunteer to help you,
Oh,
how do
yes.
they do that?
Yes, they just need to email us,
Okay.
call us. I've got a list of, I think we had over 100 volunteers last year for November. We couldn't use everybody. But we are gonna pull in a lot of people to get the ballots. I had people do, today, my tax work-off folks are already putting labels on envelopes and getting things ready to go, so. Once we have the ballots in-house, things will fly, and the post office is ready to help us. They were a big help all of last year. We would do several hundred ballots, take them down to the post office. They would get them out in the mail the next day.
Right.
And if people are concerned about the mail, just drop them off. We have a mail slot, and we're gonna have the ballot box. Beautiful blue ballot box. Anything else?
Any other questions or comments?
I think
Jim, Ellen?
you covered it, but are you very comfortable with the amount of time that there is for people to get their applications in and for you to get them a ballot? In terms of whatever the mail can handle, mailing time?
So they can start sending us the applications now.
Yep.
And I highly recommend that. It'll make it easier for us. And then once we get, last year we put out 500 or 600 in just a couple of days. And I have a crew that I'm gonna call in again, spread out between, several different rooms and just put it together.
Right.
So
And the mail system, I guess, can handle that.
Yes, like I said, I take it down there, Sandy in the post office goes through, she showed me, she can put them in the route sections and then the route drivers put them out, and so.
Can I just ask for a couple clarification on one thing?
Sure.
If you have early voted in the past,
Mhm.
you still have to re-register to early vote this
Yeah,
time?
yes,
Okay,
yes, every year is different.
Okay.
It's only good, usually an application is good for the year.
Yep.
And this is the only election proposed for this year,
Got it.
so, but,
So if people are like, I already did this last year,
Do it again.
it doesn't matter
It
because you
doesn't
need to
matter.
do it again.
And the
Okay.
same thing, absentee ballots,
Okay.
they were only good for a calendar year, so it's just
Perfect.
carried over for that.
Perfect.
And we have a lot of information on the website. And don't
And
hesitate to contact us.
Candidates night?
Oh, candidates night. So the Stowe Independent has agreed to do candidates night and the date they're proposing is April 14th. And it will be done remotely. Cindy Bremer, the editor, has put out I know she sent information to the candidates. And I know the format was all the people who have uncontested races will have a chance to identify themselves. And then candidates with contested races, it will be done in the grouping. So the selectmen candidates, however she'll put it up. And more information will be coming and will be advertised. And stuff. And I did say that the Action Unlimited is sending out stuff townwide for that, the same as last year.
Perfect.
And Carol Toomey, the editor owner, is a resident of Stowe. So she's been very helpful. Any questions from anybody else?
We good, Jim?
Yep.
Ellen, you're good?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a motion then.
All right. In accordance with MGL Chapter 54, Section 64, I move to reduce the polling hours for Stowe's annual town election on Saturday, May 8th to 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ellen and Jim are aye, so we're unanimous. Next up, we have,
Just sign on your way out. You've got papers over here.
You can just leave
I
it
need
there.
at least two. I screwed one up.
now Denise, did you ever hear from Sandy Taft?
He's on.
Sandy, are you on?
I am.
Hello, Sandy. Look, it's been about a year since I've seen you, I think.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Now, if
How are
it,
you? Thank you for making time for us tonight. Really appreciate, and I'd like to introduce Jennifer Henderson. Jennifer, why don't you just say where you live and how long you've lived in Stowe?
We've been doing for 4 years, we're over on Buckle.
And I wanted to introduce Jennifer because she's helping us here with the cleanup plans and introducing a new component to it that I think will be helpful. But first I wanted to let you know that there's a fair amount of news out there about other towns doing cleanups. Hudson is going forward with their cleanup, Harvard's going forward with their cleanup, Bear's going forward with their cleanup. And I learned today that there was a Department of Public Health presentation to the Board of Health saying that cleanups are permitted under the state rules with a maximum group size, and I presume that means group of people working on a cleanup area directly would be 25. But we've never really had group size cleanups like that before in the past. So what we're proposing is pretty close to what we've always done, and last year would have been our 12th year. So we hit the pause button and we'll say this is our 12th year this year. And we'd like to do it on April 24th, and we'd like to do it at the exact same spot in the Lower Common, which is an area that has not been disturbed by the construction. There's a little bit of snow, that'd be nice if it melts by April 24th. That would make a little bit easier down there. But that's generally been an area that's been very accessible for people to walk up. What we'd be doing differently this year are several things. One, we'd probably have at least 2 tables to ensure social distancing so that one group of people could only come up at a time to both sign up, which has been part of the process. We have people fill out a registration form. Then the town introduced a couple years back the indemnification form. And then third, picking up the garbage bag. Unfortunately, what we would not offer this year is coffee and scones from Emma's. So that's a big disappointment as far as I'm concerned, but we can plug along regardless. We'll have a few more extra volunteers down there that will ensure social distancing, spacing requirements, and put some tape on pavement, that kind of thing, or orange cones. We haven't really laid it out just yet, but the idea would be everybody working down there would be wearing masks, and all the signage would be to say that if people are going to pick up their bags, they need to be wearing masks. One of the things that Jennifer's brought to the group this year is the notion of using a sign-up genius. Jennifer, I don't know if you want to speak to that briefly. It's something that Harvard's had experience as well, too.
Yeah, so that would allow people to sign up online and they could choose a street. They use the street map that's available on the town website and basically gives them the information, allows them to kind of pre-register. We can include a link to the indemnification form so that they can print it out at home, bring it with them instead of more people having to queue and use pens and same pens, same clipboards or anything like that. So we think it might be a good way to reach folks, and it's worked well for, it looks like, Air and I think Harvard as well.
So that's a little bit different, and again, otherwise it's very similar for what you've seen the last number of years, the way we've done it, where people will pick up their bags, we'll set up at 7:30, open the area from 8 to 12, and then we pack up and leave by 12:30. People pick up bags on Saturday. Then they'll have all weekend at their leisure to pick up litter, leave their bags in the area where they're working at a safe distance, not in the road. And then the highway department would pick up on Monday, as been the past. And what's helpful for us with the sign up and the reason that we use that big oversized map is just really to get a handle where people are cleaning up. We want to, if there's an area of town that hasn't been identified as an area of interest to clean up, we might encourage people that are coming up and want to do an area that's very busy already to move to that area. As long as it's safe, we're also sensitive to making sure that young children aren't out on 117, or rather, a small family going to Pine Bluffs or, to the town forest and cleaning up those areas in there. So the other thing I confirmed was that we'll have no banner to be put up this year, so we're not putting up banners. The only signage, formal signage we would have would be any kind of signs that we put up in town businesses, which has been 8.5 by 11 signs where we might go in and ask for approval to do that. But then we have 4 signs remaining still that are your classic political kind of signs, and we've strategically put one over by Honey Pot at that intersection there, over by Hudson Road in 117, over by 117 and the town of Maynard line, and then one at 62 and across, right next to where some signs have been in the past at the old town hall. So that would be the only signage that we would have, other than electronic communication. And to be quite honest, last time that we did it, we learned that the Stowe Moms Network was a great way to get the word out. And so there's other communication aspects, unofficial Stowe, Facebook page, etc., that can help us with that. So I think that's it in a nutshell. Jennifer, do you think I missed anything?
No, I think that was everything.
Okay. Turn it over to you all for questions.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I would just like to say thank you for doing this. It's much needed. And I know we have participated in the past as a family, and so we'll look forward to doing it again this year.
I'll say
Sandy, I have a suggestion. You should have a contest for how many Fireball bottles people collect. Whoever gets the most gets some sort, maybe they get the gift certificate to Emma's or something. But I seriously, and thank you, Jennifer, for also joining the team. And it's just been great to have you guys do this every year, just because you know it's the right thing to do. It's awesome. So thank you. And I think also Denise, with her new powerful website, you know, we get a lot more readership from our website now. So hopefully, having it up there, people will notice it as well.
Courtney?
thank you for bringing forward such a friendly and well-organized project. And thank you for continuing it for a dozen years.
Jim?
Sandy, thank you as always for doing this, and I'm glad that unlike the last couple of times you did it, the Lower Village Common and the road aren't torn up. And welcome aboard, Jim.
Yes. Thank you guys very much. That being said, I'm ready for a motion.
Right, I move to permit Sandy Taft and his group of volunteers to use the town's lower common on Saturday, April 24th, 2021, from 7 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for the annual Stowe Cleanup Day. Bags will be handed out from 8 a.m. until 12 noon, and COVID-19 precautions will be taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's unanimous. And thank you again, Sandy and Jennifer.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate you making time for us tonight. Take care.
And thank you for making time to clean up. Next up, we have a continued discussion of the covenant for Plantation Apartments / Stowe Elderly Housing Corporation. At this time, I will be recusing myself and turning the chair over to Courtney, as I have a conflict of interest as my wife is a member of the board of Stowe Elderly Housing. You can have the big chair if you want.
I'll stay here. I'm all set up. Thank you.
Here, I'll be recusing myself also at a similar conflict. My wife takes minutes for SEHC.
Can I ask just a point of information? Is that really, I mean, Kathy's not a voting member, is it necessary, have you cleared this or asked of?
Oh yeah, it's right on their website. She gets paid to take the minutes.
Oh,
So
so she's
she's theoretically an employee and has a duty of loyalty to them. And
Yeah.
we have a conflict.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
So this is a continuation of a discussion, including public comment. Is Mark Jones chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals on?
I don't believe so.
Aha.
I don't know how we have this discussion.
I believe Barbara is available, our counsel.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I am here. I wasn't sure if I were needed, but I thought I should check in just in case. So good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Sorry. I was hoping to have a synopsis of what the conversation is about from the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Do you care to, Denise, would you have such a comment, or Barbara?
So Barbara may be better to explain it. If you'll recall, Mark was here, back, I don't know, a few weeks now. His letter is in your packet with the proposed changes and why, the ZBA is recommending this. Again, Barbara, if you have specifics you'd like to add, that would be helpful.
I'm sorry about that. So this, the proposed, covenant, from the ZBA arose from the hearing process, during the comprehensive permit, hearing for Plantation 2. And it came up because the project as permitted, is not consistent. It in fact conflicts with a couple terms of the 1982 covenant that was entered into by the Selectmen and Stowe Housing at the time of the original comprehensive permit. And so what the board found, and it's in the permit decision, is that the ZBA didn't have the authority to undo the covenant or to enter into a new one. That is up to the select board, because the selectmen were the party to the covenant. But the board felt pretty strongly that since it had been very involved in the comprehensive permit process, that it wanted to offer the selectmen sort of the benefit of what it had learned during that process, and to propose to prepare proposed language for the selectmen to consider when the selectmen considered entering into a new covenant. So the board, it was a public process, and the applicant participated, and the public participated. There was input from council, and so the product that you have is the result of that process, that public process. Hang on, sorry. As a result of that public process, and I think maybe what I could do is maybe turn over discussion of some of the details to Stowe Elderly Housing, but I'm happy to talk about any aspect of it. I just don't want to monopolize the conversation. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to answer any questions from the town administrator or from members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No worries. So that's great. Is there a representative of the Stowe Elderly Housing Corporation present?
My name's Peter Munkenbeck, and I'm their consultant. Several of the board members are on the Zoom here, but I would suggest perhaps that Rita Schwantes, who's our attorney, would be the best person to address this, if you permit that.
Great, thank you, Peter. Hi, Rita.
Good evening, I'm Rita Schwantes. I'm an attorney with Klein Hornig and represent Stowe Elderly Housing Corporation, and have worked with the Stowe Zoning Board of Appeals through the 40B comprehensive permit hearing process, as well as the meetings and hearings that they've held to discuss the covenant. And we have, in fact, 2 covenants, I think, that have been submitted for your consideration. One is amending the existing 1982 covenant, as Barbara mentioned, and permitting the existing Plantation Apartments 50-unit development on site to continue and go forward. And the second is to permit the new proposed Plantation Apartments 2 with 37 units in the existing house on the site to go forward. And the covenants are really designed to bring the existing 1982 covenant into line with what has been approved for both projects in connection with the comprehensive permit 40B process. So I don't know if you want more detail on that, would like to go through the documents, but I think Barbara Huggins Carboni has characterized it correctly, that there is there was a public process, and Stowe Elderly Housing Corporation does very much support the covenants that are in front of you for consideration. Maybe just I'll pause a minute to focus on timing. There are still some components of the project and the process to be completed on the part of the applicant. And so our proposal is that we obtain approval and enter into the covenants now, sign the covenants, but hold them in escrow and not record them until such time as the project is ready to pull the building permit and go forward.
That makes sense.
That's great.
Yep.
Thank you. So maybe at this point, I will ask the board, the select board, if there are questions or comments from our members.
I mean, we've been going through this for so long, and I read through it. Can't say I understand it 100%, but I understand the covenants updating things, and I believe basically if our town attorney likes it, the ZBA is happy with it. I want to see this move forward, so I'm in support of it.
Great. I basically feel like I understand it and I agree with you. I'm fully in support. Megan?
I too am fully in support. I have been aware of this for a long time as well. And so I'm glad to see it just moving forward. So,
Great.
yes.
And Jim, do you have any comment?
He can't comment.
Oh, he can't comment,
It's just
sorry.
the three.
Sorry, it's just the three of us. How about members of the public? Do we have comments or questions on our process, or if you could raise an electronic hand, or seem to be none. Great.
Is there anybody from ZBA on the call that could speak to this?
Oh, does Peter have his hand up, or is he just clapping?
Peter does.
Oh, Peter has his hand up.
I
Peter.
I hesitated to make sure that if there was anybody from the wider public, that they had the opportunity first, but I just wanted to say that just what has been said, and just to say that Stowe Elderly Housing Corp. has voted in favor of where we are today, and that the language in the covenants and the concepts in the covenants are completely consistent with what we're trying to do, and that we will be delighted if the result of this is approval.
Great, thank you. And I saw Ernie is there.
Right.
Do you have a comment, Ernie?
I'm all for the covenant. It's there to protect the residents of Stowe, the residents of Plantation Apartment. It's there for you, if they have a problem, that someone can step in and speak for them and solve their problem. So we identify the issues, the possible issues that come up in the future. I doubt if they ever will, but if they do, the selectmen can come to the selectmen and ask them to step in and correct whatever the issue may be. I wasn't really prepared to say anything. I thought Mark would be here. But,
Sorry.
And Ernie,
the whole board is for it 100%.
Great.
Ernie, if you could just confirm that for people who don't know that you're currently a member of the ZBA.
Well, I am currently a member of the ZBA.
You've had so many hats, so we just.
Thanks.
It's easier than planning board, but it takes a lot of time.
Thank you, Ernie.
Okay.
Well, seeing and hearing no further comments, I would take a motion. Yes.
I move to accept and sign the covenant for Plantation Apartments / Stowe Elderly Housing Corporation as presented on March 23rd, 2021.
Second.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry to interrupt.
Please.
Sorry to be a lawyer. Could I get a roll call vote, which, for any remote proceeding, just so it can
Absolutely.
be identified
Sure.
who's voting? Thank you.
Megan?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
And Courtney votes aye.
Before we move on, can I just make one quick statement? I just wanted to acknowledge Barbara. So for those of you who don't know, Barbara is leaving KP Law and moving on to the municipal sector. I would just like to say thank you for your guidance and advice, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it very much. I'm going to work for the town of Truro, so I'm excited, yes, thank you. And
We will
thank you, I
miss you.
appreciate it. I know, it's hard for me to imagine, when I started working with John in 2003, it's been that long. I think Ernie was still on the planning board back then. But no, it's really been my pleasure and my honor to work for the town, and I am going to miss everybody very much. And it is kind of nice to see Plantation moving forward in this way. It really is. So thank you, everybody. That's not why I tuned in, just so you know. It occurred to me that, although I hadn't been asked, I don't know, something just went off in my head at about, 7 o'clock that maybe I should check in. It was helpful to folks, so thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Best wishes indeed.
Thank you.
Good luck and thanks for all your help.
Okay, my pleasure. I guess I should go now. Yeah.
All right. Now I'm back. Next up is a discussion of the town's options for funding the town hall restoration project. And do we have somebody from the town hall restoration project?
Courtney and I are.
It looks like there are
there's Doug,
a
yeah.
I see
few
Doug.
people
Ed.
on.
And you also have the CPC members I see on there.
And I think this was actually requested by the CPC, so do we have the chair of the CPC on by any chance?
You do?
I'm here, then Ansel.
Hello, Ben. So, we've seen the letter that you sent. Would you like to start off the discussion of what you are looking for from us?
Yeah, well, we, as the letter mentioned, we did not vote, to support the $3.5 million for the, town hall project for this coming, town meeting warrant. But, we did want to send a letter to the, select board, saying that we at this time were willing to put in 1.75, half the amount, to give the town an opportunity to move forward if they wanted to this year, and also, not knowing what discussions you folks may have had about funding options, to give you an opportunity to think about that. And it also showed our support for the project. I think there's a consensus that, the next year, the project will have to do some work, firming up the reuse plan or the use plan, I should say, seeking additional funds where we can, and building up public support for it. But we felt that showing an interest in the project and support, and also perhaps that can help with fundraising as we move forward as well. So that was the idea behind that letter, and to get your reaction, to hear what you have as board have to say.
Courtney, since you're on the CPC also, I suppose I'll give you first bite of the apple to make comments.
I did, in attending the CPC meeting last night, I got a strong impression that they're both in favor of the project in some fashion, and they also would like to support the committee in doing the things that Ben just mentioned, seeking other, additional funding sources, further defining the uses of the building. They also had a bit to say about exploring phasing the project, which I think is would be a useful discussion to have with the architect. I have expressed on various occasions my strong support for this project, and I understand that I feel as though the committee has more work to do, and that having I would like to see a Friends of the Town Hall established, and I think having an excellent public relations campaign for this project is going to make perhaps quite a big difference.
John, can I raise my hand?
Sure. Yes, Doug.
In your interest of time, I think probably what the Town Hall Restoration Committee needs from you is a commitment from the board to put a warrant article, or just to put a warrant article on the annual town meeting warrant. I don't know that we necessarily need your support for the warrant article right now. That's something we can discuss. But we'd like to know that you would let us put a warrant article in. We'll stand on our own 2 feet and see how we take the swings. But if you were against that, then we'd know kind of where we stood and what other things we had to do.
Sorry. Can we just let the board speak? I appreciate this, but I also wanted to make sure that I could say what I wanted to say. So, what I feel very strongly that this is not the year for this project because it's not ready yet. It does not mean I don't support this project. I feel like we are rushing to try and get it on a warrant article for this year, and I just don't think it's ready. I agree with you, but we've had these conversations. I think we need to get a PR campaign together. I think we're trying to get, I think what I've seen over the last year is we're trying to get the project funded before we've even finished up with the architect doing his initial stuff. And so I think if we could have that year, if we could not bleed down the CPC funds, I mean, that's a lot of money to take out of it, let it sit there for a year, and then be able to come with a bigger sort of plan for this, then that's what I would be in support of. I am not in support of putting it on the warrant for this year for the whole $3.5 million project. I don't think it's ready. I wouldn't want to bond it out. It's not an emergency, and I think that that's more, my feeling is more that that's what you would bond out money for. I strongly support the project. I just don't support this timeline, that this sort of, it feels like it's a bit of an arbitrary timeline that we've put ourselves on to get it funded this year. So that's all I wanted to say.
I'd just like to briefly comment and say that I think what's been really useful is that having the funding conversation has brought all of this up so that it's become, to me, just brilliantly clear that we should probably defer. And I know the committee hasn't really had a chance to hash this out together, but this is really where I see it going.
I think Denise, you had a comment?
No, I'll wait for the rest of the board. I just wanted to comment on Doug's statement.
Ellen?
Yeah, I actually, I think it's still, we still haven't heard the answer to what exactly we're doing with the building. I mean, I love it as an iconic building, especially in the location it's in. It is a key visual, but we still haven't heard a definitive, what are we gonna use this building for? If we could use it for offices, in which case it would require a certain design by the architect, if the historical, I understand the historical commission wasn't interested in it, but if that's the best use of it, we need to have more conversations with that. So I really would not support, I mean, the selectmen are supposed to show leadership here, and I would not support the leadership or the selectmen saying, yeah, sure, we can put it on the warrant, because that's not leadership. We're not ready for this vote. It's not, I totally agree with Megan that we shouldn't be tying up CPA funds at this point until we know exactly what we want to do with it. So I obviously feel pretty strongly.
Jim?
Kind of modified position on that. I also do not support this $3.5 million as, like I said previously. I just don't, that case hasn't been made to me. In large part because I don't know what it's going to be used for. If I were in charge of everything, I would put this off a year, and I would take advantage of the fact that we have different town administrator who may have some creative thoughts or be able to pull some people together and think about it in a different way, and see what she could come up with, as well as what answers there may be to the fundraising questions and other questions that were raised tonight. I'm a little surprised that the committee, frankly, has not seized the opportunity to do that on its own. Where I differ with some of my colleagues, though, is the Town Hall Restoration Committee has worked very hard on this. I don't really believe in selectmen denying another town department or board the ability to go to town meeting and make their case. So if the Town Hall Restoration Committee insists that that's what they wanted to do, I would support a warrant article, but only if it provided for the excess funding outside of the existing levy limit. In other words, a debt exclusion. I'll leave it at that.
My point of view is probably somewhere in between. I would probably, if the Town Hall Restoration Committee wanted to put forward an article, I would support putting it on. However, I would probably then urge the town to vote against it. Simply because, to Jim's point, to deny them the ability to make their case, I don't feel that that's right. However, I think that the Town Hall Restoration Committee needs to pare the project back. And I would not support a debt exclusion to pay for any additional funding. My personal opinion is that whatever project gets done there needs to come out of CPA funds. And the only thing that I might be able to be convinced of, which I probably still wouldn't be in favor of, would be for the CPA to commit 5 years worth of funds to make up the rest of it, as in bonding, which I've said in the past that I'm dead set against. However, I think that they need to try to get it down to about $2.5 million, get it funded out of CPA, and be done with it. So I don't know what could be done by taking $1.75 million to town meeting, and I certainly wouldn't, while I wouldn't deny them putting it on the warrant, I would probably vehemently object to it at town meeting, or at least recommend against anything other than CPA funding. So that's my 2 cents worth. So,
I think Denise had something.
So all I was going to say is, a vote of an article at town meeting requires a funding source. So the discussion would have to be, if you are going to support some type of article, how much are you supporting? And if you're supporting more than what CPA is authorizing, we need a funding mechanism to do that. Debt exclusion would require a decision to be on the ballot if it was going to be on this upcoming election by April 5th, I believe we discussed. So that means it would have to happen tonight if you want to have a debt exclusion vote. Otherwise, it could go to town meeting and be on the next election as a debt exclusion if that was the path you plan to choose. I would say as far as funding outside of the CPA, there are two options. One, it could be done in the levy limit and you're increasing residents' taxes without their approval. Or two, it's done outside the levy limit and you put it on a ballot and ask folks if they want to increase their taxes to pay for the project. For a project like this, my recommendation would be, as Jim stated, it should be a debt exclusion Prop 2.5 question to see if people want to fund this project with their taxes. I think that's the only fair way to do it, and to really get the residents, all the residents that show up to vote to weigh in on this matter. The informal survey, I will say, that was done had about 160 responses. Town meeting, if there's nothing overly controversial, maybe you'll have 100 people. To me, that's not a good sense of town when you're talking about a project of this size and this cost.
Okay.
I suppose one question I would have is, and Courtney, Megan, has the Town Hall Restoration Committee taken a vote on how they want to proceed?
So we have a meeting tomorrow.
We've got it all upside down this week.
Yep. So I
think it'll be an interesting discussion tomorrow night, that's what I'll say. Excuse me for interrupting.
Sorry, I was just trying to figure out what the path forward is right here if we don't feel like, because I wouldn't want to, I speak for myself, I'm not speaking for the entire committee, for sure. So I think that, would it make sense if, as far as a vote goes for us tonight, does it make sense for this board to vote on whatever recommendation, and then if the Town Hall Restoration Committee meets tomorrow night and they decide to put forward a warrant article, I don't know what the best solution is.
I don't see anything for the board to vote on tonight.
Nothing for us. Okay.
I think we were being asked for our opinion. We don't have a concrete proposal on the
Okay.
table before us.
Okay.
I think we were asked for
So
our opinion.
ask for our opinion and then we'll talk about it tomorrow night as to whatever. Okay. Great.
If the Town Hall Restoration Committee had had a vote and they said this is the way we wanted to go, then we might be having a slightly different discussion, in my opinion.
Okay.
But, Linda?
I just wanted to make a comment that typically when you've had debt exclusion questions, the election has been after town meeting. So in this year, the election is prior to town meeting. I know a number of voters have said in the past that they'd like to know what the total amount of the project was in the discussion from town meeting, even though they may not have attended it, but they can watch it on Stowe TV. So that's just an FYI.
Got
it. Mr. Chair?
Yes, Jim?
First of all, that's a good point that the town clerk just made. I think we may have done it reverse in 2011 because of weather. There were several capital projects that one got, I think they all got rejected, now I can't remember. But if I understand what the town administrator said, if we take no vote tonight, so no debt exclusion, then there cannot be a debt exclusion, and that is off the table as a funding source, correct?
So no, so there's a couple things. And I will just say, I had asked or recommended that the Town Hall Restoration Committee make their meeting after tonight, because they wanted me to go in and make a recommendation, and I couldn't do that until I knew what the board was thinking. So if the Town Hall Restoration Committee meets tomorrow and says, we still want to move forward, we'd like to ask for debt exclusion. Number one, this board could certainly call a special meeting to decide on that. Or it could still go to town meeting, and then on the next election after town meeting, it could appear as a debt exclusion question. It still has to be passed by a town vote and town meeting. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter what order. If town meeting is after the election, it passes the election, and then it would still be contingent upon town meeting. But in this case, it would be the next election after, so technically it'd be next May. If you vote the debt exclusion and it passes town meeting this year.
Thank you.
Linda?
I think, based on experience and the discussion we've had before, I thought that the town meeting vote and the ballot question had to come within 90 days.
I don't know, I don't think so, but we can certainly check that. I'm not aware of that provision.
I recall it something like that. I wasn't sure it was 90 days, I thought it might be 120 or 180, but
There's some connection that it has to be relatively close. It couldn't be a year, and I'm sorry I don't have the Mass General Law or the citation. I really apologize for not having that information, but it's a question that needs to be discussed. That's all I have.
So really, I don't think I don't think there's anything else for us to really discuss anymore until the Town Hall Restoration Committee has a position that they might want us to follow. They have our opinions, rather diverse at this point, so unless anybody else has anything else to say, good with me moving on?
Great.
All right. We had a.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks, Vin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, everyone.
We had a package that got put in the Hudson housing area and adjacent property. It appears that the Department of the Army is asking for our input on a parcel that they are planning on selling. It's about 46 acres, and it was part of the what was it? It was part of the
Devon's Annex.
Devon's Annex, yep. And it looks like from the pictures that I saw, there is maybe somewhere between 5 tops 10 acres of it in Stowe that it was undeveloped. I talked to Denise briefly about this. The majority of this parcel is in Hudson. We probably don't have a lot to say about it. Denise, I believe you said that the Conservation Commission didn't really have any questions or thoughts on it. The Planning Board didn't have any questions or thoughts?
Correct. I spoke to Jesse and Kathy. Neither one of them had any comments. The parcel is being sold as is. Obviously, if someone wanted to develop that further, including the piece of Stowe, they would have to come back and go through the proper process anyways. But they were asking to make sure that the board saw that and had an opportunity to weigh in with comments, so.
Does anybody feel that we need to comment on this at this point?
No, I'll just say that as part of the perambulation, I believe we were just on this property this fall, so.
We were just on this
We're quite
property.
familiar with it, actually.
We are.
So is there a little abandoned housing complex down there?
Well, we didn't go that far.
We weren't allowed, I mean,
We
we
weren't allowed
had
to
been
go
told
further.
actually you shouldn't go that far, but we did meet the police officer, the MP that was protecting it, because there's been a lot of vandalism back there, but,
Yeah.
I've been down there. I think I got blocked by a gate once.
the gate.
Yeah.
And then I got past it. I don't think they're abandoned.
No, I don't think they're
No,
abandoned.
they're not.
They're
They just haven't.
underutilized, I think is how the policeman put it.
It's very pretty back there.
Yeah.
Really pretty. And right along water, I mean, the pond back there, it's really nice.
All right.
But I don't think, I mean, I don't, to be serious, I don't think we need to comment. I don't have any additional comments on it.
All right, in that case, we will move on. Town Administrator's Report is up next.
I just have two quick items for you under that. So in the essence of time, that was before now and sort of the end of the fiscal year, regarding the Kane Land Trail Project. So CPC has approved that project going forward to town meeting. I have given the go-ahead to the Eagle Scout that wanted to build a boardwalk for the back culvert. He understands fully that it still may fall through pending town meeting approval, but he has to complete his project by June for his Eagle Scout. So with the understanding that he, it may not come to fruition or be in that specific location, he wanted to proceed. So I just wanted to let you know that I did give him the go-ahead so he could start on that project. And then secondly, some possibly exciting news. I spent a good portion of my lunchtime today speaking with the city of Marlborough, and I have signed us up to be part of a vaccine collaborative through Marlborough Hospital. I can't guarantee anything's gonna happen with that, but Marlborough Hospital and the city of Marlborough were working together, but we're only getting so many vaccines. So the state had said to them, if you can get a few more towns in your collaborative, we can increase that. So I have given the go-ahead. They were reaching out to Hudson and Berlin as well. Marlborough Hospital will take care of all the logistics. They will do all the vaccine administration. It will be held at the Courtyard Marriott in Marlborough. The state has told us that with these type of regional collaborations, even though they still have to be open to all 351 cities and towns, they would allow, I believe it's 25% of the appointments to be guaranteed to the cities or towns that are in the actual collaborative. So I said, even if that means, 25 to 50 Stowe residents have an opportunity to get a vaccine 10 miles away, we will take that opportunity. So I will keep you all posted, and certainly if it goes ahead, I will let everybody know how to sign up and what that process is. But as I said, that just happened about noontime today. So still a work in progress, but it is hopefully a potential opportunity to continue to get our residents vaccinated.
That sounds great.
That's wonderful, thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, nice job.
Yes, it was very exciting. And so those are the only items I had under my formal report. I do have on there, I did give you all the draft fiscal 22 budget. I know I just sent it out today. It's a living document until the time we go to press, so it's been, I've been working on it. I'm happy to answer if there are questions right now. We can certainly discuss it more in depth at the next meeting. When you go through, sort of the only big changes are the ones I've been talking about, which are the added 3 positions. The overall budget increase, including articles, not counting capital, because I'm not sure where that stands right now, even though you'll see it's included in the numbers, just so I had a placeholder. But budget and articles, it's under a 2.5% increase. So it stays well within the normal Prop 2.5, continues to add levy capacity, and still make some needed changes here with regards to staffing.
So, Ellen?
No, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I was just gonna say that, before the meeting, I had, before you guys got on, I asked Denise to put this on as a full agenda item for the next meeting so that we can have a better discussion after we've all had a chance to take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Great, that's what I was gonna ask, so I have no answers. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so I've got no questions on that, and.
I guess my only question is in terms of process, should we submit questions to you in advance, Denise? Would that be easier? And then or should we just bring them to the meeting?
Either way. If you have them in advance, you certainly can send them along, and I can have the information available for you in the packet that goes out next, or?
My only sort of structural question, when I looked at it the first, the column headings got me a little confused, because it says the second column says 2021 ATM budget request, fiscal 22 budget requested. But that's not really I mean, it's just the budget request that came into you, is that what that is? And then, I didn't understand the ATM part of it, basically.
Yeah, so that's just what will go forward to the annual town meeting for 2021. But yes, so that's what was requested by departments.
Okay.
And then you'll have your recommendation.
Yep, and then the 2 columns over is my recommendations.
It's just, I think that's, if I'm remembering right, it's a slightly different format from what we've had in the past. Usually we're looking at the far right as what's going to town meeting.
No, this is his spreadsheet. I actually just eliminated the extra columns on the outside because they are blank at this point.
Gotcha.
I just made it a little bit bigger than what you normally have, but
Oh,
I didn't change the
Thank you.
format at all.
Got it. No, without those other columns, that's, okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
So just to prolong that, the first column, the third column is percent change over prior year. That's the percent change from what the department has requested over the current year's budget.
Yes.
And then the fourth column is what you're recommending. And the fifth column, which also says percent change over prior year, is the percent change from what you're recommending over the current year's budget.
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Next up is we have one set of minutes from March 9th, marathon meeting. We'll take comments, corrections. I thought they were well done.
Nope.
Took me a long time to read them.
I will say, they started as 14 pages and Joyce had to whittle them down. Because that was, as you mentioned, a marathon meeting with a lot of public hearing information that she wanted to make sure was captured.
I thought they were very, very well done, and I hope somebody told Joyce this isn't typical.
I think you did.
You did give her the.
Yeah, I did, that's right.
It wasn't a very nice welcoming committee to have this as their first meeting, but
Trial by
I just
fire.
wanted to say as well, particularly on the balance with the public hearings, the comments, I thought she did really a very nice job of trying to get that all down. So certainly helpful for the public to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really nice job. I had one question / comment about the public hearings, the one on the hydrogen tank at the airport. So that is
You want the hard copy?
page 4 of the minutes, and the first full paragraph of that page, the last sentence says, the quantity is above the threshold that requires a license. I thought it was above the threshold that could be granted by the fire chief, or a license through the fire department. Is that true?
Yes, so it actually should just be permit there. So it's above the threshold that requires a permit and therefore requires a full license.
Great. If we could just clarify that.
Yes.
And probably the motion needs to be changed too, because I just noticed that the motion says license also.
No, you approve the
it-
license. It's above the threshold for the permit that the fire department issues.
Okay.
So we can make that,
Any other comments or corrections? Out of a 7-page set of minutes, that's pretty darn good. Thank you, Joy.
that's great.
I'll entertain a motion then.
All right, I move to accept the meeting minutes of the March 9th, 2021 meeting with amendments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jim and Ellen vote aye. I missed liaison reports. We can go
I
back
thought
to
it was
that.
intentional.
I obviously didn't do a good job of getting us out by 8. But does anybody have any liaison reports or anything that can't wait till next week or the next meeting?
I had a couple of short ones.
Sure.
I went to the Mass Selectmen's Association, had a really great workshop with a longtime person whose name, of course, I'm gonna forget at the moment, who did it on civil discourse, but it was really about just great suggestions on different ways that Board of Selectmen might consider operating. And there's a video which I will send to Joyce to send around to everybody. The Council on Aging is doing a bang-up job of trying to help our seniors get signed up for vaccines. That takes a lot of phone calling and a lot of both to the seniors as well as to the local. I guess actually Allison, I think, is doing all the calling to make the appointments. But if there are people who are interested in helping out, they need to fill out a volunteer form through the COA website. So if you're interested, I hope you will sign up. And just from the result of my liaisons this month, I would love to have a future discussion to clarify the role of liaisons and maybe even our job description. I think I'm seeing some committees doing things that I think are a little out of order in terms of what their authority is, and I don't know what my authority is as a liaison from the select board. So I'd like to have more of a discussion about, and I think even just with all the liaisons we have, you know, is this the right way that we're connecting with these committees? So I'd like to ask to have that on a future agenda.
Jim, anything?
No, nothing, I can't wait.
All right. Anything in correspondence? I did see Ingeborg Hageman's notice for on the WBJ Hall of Fame. That was interesting.
Yeah.
As a former colleague. So in that case, I will entertain, if there's nothing else that anybody has, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.